So here begins an episode of podcast of of Walk to Live. Anyway, so I'm thinking of talking about I mean I was thinking of talking about Russia, but actually, so this time, so I'm thinking of talking about other maybe other things. Anyway, so hello everybody, or to the last beach, Mania Sabbath, Richard Gon, Priatna Poznakovica, or hello everybody, I'm Richard Gon of Work to Live podcast version. And so, so I was thinking of talking about Russia, but actually, so this time, if you have read the title and the conclusion of this episode, so I think you have already known the present situation of the war between Ukraine and Russia. Anyway, so I forgot what to talk about. Anyway, so the title is End of the Federation, and the conclusion is the end of Russian Federation has come. I think we need to brace ourselves. So yeah, so recently, so it was recently on which or in which when it was recently when or in which Kharkov Oblast or the anyway. So telling you a past situation of the war or of the last Ukrainian war. So Russian troops or Russian Federation has the control of large part of Kharkov Oblast. But actually, so that large part had been taken away by taken by Ukrainian troops, and that is because Russian troops went away from the conquered part of Kharkov Oblast by controlled by Russian force. But actually, recently, the Russian troops gave up their own weapons, and they went back. They retreated to their original places, or to the maybe So I guess those Russian troops went back to Luganskaya Oblast or Luhansk Oblast in Ukrainian language. I don't know Ukrainian language, but actually, so telling you that the current situation was the present situation of the fighting between Ukraine and Russia. Not maybe. Russian troops gave up that territory, or the territory Russia got by the conquest against Ukraine. Maybe So I'm sorry for my clumsy manner of explanation, but actually, so telling you the situation of the war. So the Russian force gave away the large part of Kharkov Oblast controlled by Russian force. And I'd like to check out whether the name of that oblast is correct or not. Kharkov, which I think is the correct name for doing that. Kharkiv is Ukraine pronunciation for Kharkiv Oblast. Anyway, Kharkiv is located. Yeah, it's correct. I pronounced Kharkov Oblast, but actually Kharkov is the Russian pronunciation for the oblast. Anyway, so telling you, or speaking at Russian language, maybe Kharkovskaya Oblast, which I think is the correct pronunciation for the oblast. Anyway, so in many ways, Russian language is real, and in many ways, Russian language is really difficult. So which is why Ukrainian language must be difficult. And Kharkovskaya Oblast, which is Russian pronunciation for the oblast, name it maybe Kharkiv Oblast in Ukrainian language. I don't know, maybe in Ukrainian language, Ukrainian language has conjugation maybe, so which is why maybe the pronunciation for the name of that oblast must be different from what I have told you or what I have spoken about. Ukrainska. Let me check out the pronunciation. I don't know whether I can understand it or not. Kharkivska Oblast, which I think is a correct pronunciation for the oblast. Anyway, but actually, Russian force gave up. It's controlling territory to Russian troops succumbed the territory to Ukraine, or gave up, or another word. So surrendered, Russian force surrendered the controlled part of Kharkov Oblast, controlled by Russian Federation to Ukrainian force. But actually, what is weird is that Russian troops gave away, or Russian troops left their weapons in the controlled part of Kharkov Oblast or Kharkiv Oblast. When it comes to retreating or going back to their own Russian territories, or Luhansk Oblast, which is the oblast next to Kharkiv Oblast. But actually, thinking about going back to their own, when it comes to thinking of Russian troops or Russian force going back to their own countries, or the Ukrainian oblast, Russian Federation controls. So what is weird is that they gave up, or they left their own weapons in the territories, or in the territories of their own enemies, which is very weird. So which is why this maybe not in the last episode, but actually, so some episodes before, I created an episode of podcast in which I was talking about that. So some Russian troops or some Russian people maybe planning, or some Russian people are going to provoke a rebellion, or uprising, or revolt, which is what I have told you maybe episodes before, or days before, actually. So but actually, by the way, I'm recording this episode in the end, or in the latter half of September in 2022, and thinking about the condition, or the situation of war between among those Slavic countries. So maybe there might be a revolt or rebellion against the incumbent government of Russian Federation, which is what I'd like you to know this time. So which I think, or not I think, or so there can be an imminent, or there can be an imminent uprising, and which may destroy the incumbent government, or the incumbent tenure, or the tenure controlled by Vladimir Putin. I'm sorry for my complicated explanation. So there's that tenure in Russia, or controlling Russian territory, or there's the incumbent government controlling Russian Federation isn't there. And that incumbent, wait a moment please, is incumbent. Incumbent is correct. It's the correct word. Wait a moment please. Incumbent. So I often use this type of this word is not so familiar to non-native speakers of English language. So which is why I'd like to check. Sometimes I feel like checking out the meaning of those words which are not familiar to non-native speakers of English language. So by the way, there is the present government. Maybe I should have told you. So there is the present government controlled by Vladimir President Putin, which is the government I'm talking about, and that government controlled by Mr. Vladimir Putin. Maybe destroyed, or not demolished, or another word for the destruction. Anyway, so such a thing is going to happen. Such a thing is possibly going to happen, which is what I'd like you to know this time. And so anyway, this is all the stuff I'd like you to know this time. So which is why I wrote these sentences, or I wrote this writing as the conclusion of this episode. The conclusion is the end of Russian Federation has come. I think we need to brace ourselves, and and the title is End of the Federation. So from now on, I'm thinking of talking about digressions, or I'm thinking of digressing from here. Well, I'm not thinking of digressing completely from the main track of this episode. By the way, what is going to happen? Well, what may happen after the destruction of Russian Federation, for example? So so even though there was an assassination, for example, this is a hypothetical situation. So if there's an assassination against Vladimir Putin, or President Putin, or which means, so it's possible that President Putin is going to be assassinated by some assassins because of the russo-ukrainian war. So such a thing may happen in the future. So if such a thing really happens, so what is going to happen is that so the destruction or the end of the present government of Russian Federation, and the next president is going to be chosen in the future. Which is such a thing is what is going to happen in the future after the hypothetical or imaginary assassination against President Vladimir Putin. Anyway, so but actually, so the destruction of Russian Federation is another stuff, slightly different from the change of the government from one president to another president. But actually, so if things went astray, if things go astray, when it's not a suitable word for in this situation. So such a thing may happen. So things may go astray, leaving out or going out of the intended course of Russian Federation, or the general public of this world. So anyway, so not only the present government of Russia, but actually the Russian Federation may be destroyed in the future. Such a fall down may happen in the future. So because of triggered, such a thing can be triggered by the war, and Russian Federation may precipitate or plummet into the hell, or into the darkness. Such a thing may happen, which is what I'm saying. And so if such a thing happens, so so thinking about the nature or the composition or the structure of that country. So what is possibly going to occur is that, so many people living away from that country, which is a possible event which may occur to Russian Federation. So what I'm talking about is that so that country has many ethnic groups, like Russian people, Ukrainian people, Belarusian people, and Mongolian people, and Turkic people, or other people belonging to various ethnic groups. So there are some huge population of German people in that country, which means so there are some German people who speak not German language but Russian language as their mother tongues. I'm sorry for the sound of buzzer, of car. But actually, so anyway, so such a thing is going to, such a thing may happen. Such a thing like the destruction of Russo-Ukrainian war, not Russo-Ukrainian war, but Russian Federation may happen in the future. And such people like Mongolian people going to, for example, going to my country or immigrating into my country. And by the way, my country is Japan. And so, for example, Mongolian people and Turkish people or Turkish people may immigrate into my country. There is such a possibility, which is what I'm saying. And another possibility is that so Ukrainian people, Belarusian people, and Russian people living in the territory of or the soil of Russian Federation may live away from their own countries and may immigrate into some West European countries, which is another possible event. What I'm talking about. So if not only the destruction of the present government, but also the destruction of the present country of Russia happens. So such a thing like mass immigration out, living away from the soil of Russian Federation and immigrating into other advanced countries may occur, which can trigger the downfalls of the performances of advanced countries or developed countries, which is a crisis I'm worried about. And by the way, this is all the stuff. I haven't digressed this time. So how should I digress in this episode? By the way, so recently I'm studying Russian language and another language, which is Chinese language. I'm also studying Chinese language. And by the way, so St. Petersburg, there's a Russian city named St. Petersburg or Saint Petersburg in Russian language. And to start with, Saint Petersburg is a German word. Saint Petersburg is a German word, but actually, so maybe during the time of the Great War World War One, or during the time of the First World War, the city changed its name from Saint Petersburg to Petrograd, and after which that city changed its name from Petrograd to Leningrad. And during the time when that city used Leningrad, so there was a famous siege against Leningrad, and that had been called the siege of Leningrad. I thought the correct name for that siege, but actually that siege happened. Well, that siege was not started, but executed or exercised in the time of World War II. So it's not Germany which did such a siege against Saint Petersburg or Leningrad at that time, and many Russian people passed away because of that siege. And after the dissolution of Soviet Union, and that city changed its name from that city began to use the original name again from that city changed its name from Leningrad to Saint Petersburg, which is a digression of this in this episode this time. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening. See you. And paka paka.